good afternoon, and welcome. And you might have been poking around my LinkedIn going, wait a minute, I thought Brenda was going to be live with Lori Jo Vest today at 12:05. It's 12:22, and they're just coming on now. What happened? If that sounds like you, my friend, you were correct. We were supposed to go live earlier, but as sometimes happens, you get up in the morning and your car's making a funny sound, and gosh, got it, you got to get it to the garage. And it's in the middle of a winter snowstorm here in Michigan. A few minutes to get back to the house after, and I was texting Lori Joe saying, "Hey, we're going to be a few minutes late, but we are on." So, if you are
Yes.
watching this on LinkedIn, could you please do us a favor? Could you please drop us a comment below and let us know that the stream is live? It's picking up. Lori Joe, I always do always my mic tap moment because if we were at a in-person event when we tap our microphone and we say, "Is this thing on?" Can people in the back hear us? So
Yes.
it lets us know that the live stream is picking up. And right now we're going live on 3 networks, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and we're testing this out on Instagram as well. So I'll be looking for your
Awesome.
comments. Don't be shy. If you are watching, just say hi or hello if you could. That lets us know that the live stream is picking up and that we are good to go. While we are waiting for your comments to come in, I want to take a moment and introduce you to my very dear friend, Lori Jo Vest. And Lori Jo, you and I have known each other since, gosh, it was in our BE days, our before entrepreneurship days when we were both
Yep.
corporate employees. And I actually worked with your company. You're a service provider for my company
Yes.
and thought the world of you then. And now we're on the other side of the track, so to speak. We're both solopreneurs, and I'm delated to see you. So how are you doing today?
Good. I think I met you when you were pregnant with your daughter. So that tells you how long it's
So
been.
so my daughter's 12 coming up on 13, so that's 13 plus years. Wow, that's amazing. Good memory.
It's been a while. And you were a really cute pregnant person, so it's not hard to forget.
Aw, thank you for saying that. You know, when you're
Yeah.
pregnant, you always feel like you're really large, and especially for me, it was my second pregnancy. And you start to show a little earlier, and the clothes are a little, more snug than you were. It's so sweet of you to remember.
Yeah.
So glad to have you here. So, Lord Joe, I know a bit about you and your business, but why don't you take a minute and tell us, for those folks that are just getting to know you for the very first time today, a little bit about you and what the work is that you do today?
I am the founder, co-founder and partner at Pop Speed Digital Marketing LLC. And we are a digital marketing shop that helps busy leaders create and execute effective digital marketing initiatives on social media with SEO content, blog articles, email marketing, and website development and maintenance. So we have a team of 4 of us. My husband is my business partner, which that's a whole nother round of stories we could talk about there. Oh, yeah, but it's good. It's really good. So
Yeah,
we make it work. Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I'm delighted to be here. And I remember back to, um, I want to say it was like 2018, if this sounds familiar. We were in a room at, I want to say it was Northwood University over on Big Beaver.
Mhm.
And I think you had just started your business. I don't know if I was presenting or if I was an event. I remember, no, I think I was in the audience because we were sitting
Yeah.
near each other that day. And we were
Yep.
both like sharing notes on being self-employed. And it was kind of like, we are looking at like, I never would have thought that we'd be over here. And here we are, and we're loving it. So, Lori Joe, there might be people that are watching us today, and I call this show Enthusiastically Self-Employed, which I think is perfect because our topic today is when entrepreneurship feels like your only choice, which
Oh, yeah.
there'll be a nice segue into that topic of being enthusiastically self-employed. But so tell us, there might be people that are watching that are like, yeah, maybe this is the only path for me. So
Yeah.
what advice do you have, and what would you like to share with us today?
Big sigh. I have a really interesting origin story for our company, or at least I think it's interesting because I lived it. I was 54 years old. Here I am aging myself, but I think we should be proud of our years of experience on the planet.
Absolutely.
And I was 54 years old and I got let go from my position as a social media copywriter for an ad agency. And I was called into a room with about 12 other people. Everybody was over 40 except for one guy that I think just kind of went by on a skateboard and they pulled him in and to make the age go down a little bit in the room. And here I am, 54 years
Oh,
old, unemployed. And
oh,
I'd seen it happen to a lot of people in the video industry when I used to be in video, and people in their 50s that then decide to try to find a job. And
mhm,
I thought, at 54 in the ad and marketing business, I don't know how easy it's going to be to find that job. So
mm,
I decided to make the jump. Honestly, it was something I thought I would never do. I always thought
mhm,
you need benefits, you need health insurance, and health insurance is one of those things that's very difficult as an entrepreneur. I think if you're not married to someone who has a job, the health
right.
insurance quandary can stop you. And I decided at 54, I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now. And I jumped. And I put a call out on LinkedIn, our favorite social media platform, right, Brenda? And
Yes.
it is really my favorite platform. And
Mhm,
I just said, I'm hanging out my shingle, guys. I'm going to do this. And I already had a couple of clients that I picked up as a freelancer. And one of my former coworkers called me and said, "We need your help over at Art Van. A private
oh,
equity firm has just bought them and they need strategy, they need this, they need that." And I bounced
mhm,
right into, some pretty good revenue to get us started. And I would say, Brenda, the one of the most important aspects of my initial ability to actually support our family with our entrepreneurial income, because my husband doesn't have a regular job, is that, I was able to do that because of all the connected positive relationships I'd created in my career.
mhm,
Every
absolutely.
single person you meet is a potential client, referral, business friend, regular friend, and if you continually prioritize that positive relationship, it will pay off in the long run. Because here I was, 54 years old, been in sales and communications and advertising since I was in my 20s. And it worked, and now I can't say it's been easy, it was really hard. About 8 months
Mhm,
after I started the company, I got cancer. I got breast
mhm.
cancer,
Oh, that's
and
right, yeah. Mhm,
I was able to work through it,
mhm,
because I was freelance at home. It was
yeah,
expensive because most of us entrepreneurs have to have really high deductibles to be able to afford our health insurance, but it really kinda knocked me off my feet, and at the same time, having your mortality right in your face is
mhm.
life-changing. And if
It
you're
is, yeah,
fortunate yeah, if you're fortunate like me, I came out of it, it's 5 years out. I got kicked out of the oncology program at Henry Ford Health. Thank you. Got kicked
yay!
out. 5 years
Yes,
later.
that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
program to get kicked out of, right?
it really
Yeah.
is. And I had so much support from clients and from my husband and my family, and just kept moving. And then here we go, pandemic, right?
Yeah. Like another
Next.
one, like you survive cancer, you move on, you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, here we are," and then you get hit with this pandemic, and we're all in the same
Well,
place, right?
and let's not forget the part that my son was going to school at University of Michigan, and
Mhm.
I was on the hook for all of his living expenses,
Oh gosh,
which
yeah.
it's not typical college town living expenses in Ann Arbor. Ooh,
Yeah.
and we made it through. We just kept going. So, I guess, before we logged on here, I was thinking, "Okay, what would I tell other people that were in my shoes?"
Right.
Where you don't feel like you have a choice, you don't know where to go, it's hard. It's a huge
Mhm.
emotional lift to try to do it yourself if you never have. And I wrote a little list here, so because
Oh,
that's what I
good.
do.
That's
And
awesome.
the biggest part of it was finding and creating a community for myself that would
Mhm.
support me, that was around success, accountability, entrepreneurship. And I did that with a couple different communities. And one of them was the Accountability Lab, which I need
Yeah,
to thank
talk
you
about that.
for.
Yes. So
Accountability Lab. Yeah,
you heard about that from me?
from you. I saw
That's
you and you
crazy.
you gave it immediate credibility because as soon as I saw your name on that list, to be on the actual event that it was introduced on,
Yeah.
you had already been doing it and you were on that, and I thought, "Oh, that's credibility. If Brenda's doing it, then I wanna see what it is." And
Aw. I don't think I
Yeah,
knew that. I remember, I'll admit, Lori Joe, as I'm getting older, like sometimes I forget things and I'm like, I
yeah,
remembered it at the time, but then I forgot that I remembered it.
exactly. I
But
know how that works.
now was your group, we were meeting like 6:30 to 7 a.m. Was yours an early group too, or when were you guys meeting?
We're a 707 and we're still going.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I think this morning we decided I'd been on it for 3 years. I was October after the about 6 months in to the pandemic when I started. And what that is, if you aren't familiar, it's called Accountability Lab. Jan Griffiths started it. She's local to Detroit as well. And she basically runs a group that you pop on at 7:07, bedhead, nightgown, runny mascara, whatever you got. You show up at 7:07 and you make a commitment, personal, professional, and then a mindset for the day.
Right.
And
Hmm.
I decided I was gonna be on that all the time, and I've been on it a lot. Like, I'd say I'm probably the I have the best attendance record of anybody besides Jan. Um, but it's a group of people that are a little bit crazy to get up and set accountability. You come back the next day and you tell people what you did or didn't
Hmm.
do. If you didn't do it, why didn't you do it? And
Yeah.
basically, it got me off the sofa. I took one of our spare bedrooms that was just storing junk, cleaned it all
Hmm.
out, set up a beautiful desk, painted my walls in my colors that I love that light me up, and
Aw.
created this, really cool space. And since then, we have 2 full-time employees, myself and my husband. We just became an S corp last year. This year, we put everybody on payroll, and, we're growing. I thought I was going to be a solopreneur, but the
So it's
work
you, your
kept
husband,
coming.
plus 2 employees, so there's
Plus
4 total people working for your company. That's
yeah,
awesome.
2 full-timers. We actually do a Hot Take Tuesday LinkedIn Live now at 10 AM on Tuesdays. So,
Okay.
look up Pop Speed Digital Marketing LLC. We do, like, a hot take on whatever's being talked about.
Okay.
This week we talked about work from home because that's such a thing. Having done the entrepreneur venture for 6 years, I would never trade it for the world.
Mhm.
Never. I absolutely am very enthusiastically unemployed. And what's the cool thing about it too, Brenda, is being able to run your organization the way you want to with your values, your mission. I mean, we do all kinds of crazy things at Pop Speed. My
Yeah,
employees love us because we're remote. We do slow Fridays where we don't set any unnecessary meetings, try to avoid any client meetings. So Friday's slow. You can
I like
catch up,
that.
get your work done.
Mhm.
Our huddle and we huddle every day, Monday through Thursday at 9:30, not 9 o'clock, 9:30. Get your email, get your coffee, then we'll talk.
Smart.
And,
Mhm.
it's just been a lot of fun, and my passion I'm 60 now, and I'm looking around going, how did I get here?" Because I am full bore ahead and have big goals. We wanna open a
That's
speed
awesome.
shop eventually called Pop Speed, and Pop
Mhm.
Speed is, basically the guy that makes your car go too fast. So we
Mm.
decided we'd open the agency, and then we'll get that going for a bit, sell it to the employees, or stay, I don't know, and open a speed shop as a legacy with my son, which is basically, putting in, tuning cars so that they go faster and make fun noise and stuff like that. So,
That's
yeah, I got
awesome.
big
It's
goals.
and if you would have
Yeah.
known, when you were 54 and all this was happening, I mean,
Yeah.
I think back to, and there's probably people on the show that can relate to this, I think back to those moments when you're in that room and you have no idea, and it's
Yeah.
scary because you're going from being a corporate employee and getting a paycheck and having a benefits to
Yep.
what's next. And I like to call the category people we're referring to here experience rich. So if you're age
Mhm.
40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, I mean, the
Yep.
further up you go in your experience level, the more daunting it can seem to go
Yeah.
into working for yourself. But Lori
Yeah.
Joe's here today talking to us about when entrepreneurship feels like your only choice. And
Mhm.
I want to back up into that for a second. So you were starting to say, gosh, I don't know if I can find another agency job. How quickly did you come to that conclusion? And did you ever think about as a corporate employee, like starting a side hustle to have it as a safety net, or was it really only in response to the situation you were in?
I had a side hustle, probably about 15 years earlier.
Mhm.
I decided I always have passion projects. I
Yeah.
find if you're feeling down, you're depressed, you're not, you're just feeling blah.
Yeah.
A lot of times really
Non-motivated or yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
dig into your
Yeah.
passions. And I used to, I had a passion for customer service and really creating good relationships with customers. And I was the person at the company I worked for where give me the angry customer. Give them to me. I want them. Bring them along. Let me see what we can do, how we can make friends and solve their problem. So I wrote a book with a co-author, Marilyn Tuttle. She is still doing the customer service training work. She's great. And we wrote a book together and we were doing customer service training. Well, then I got into social media, and when I lost my position at the agency, I had already had a couple of social media clients. I kind of
Mhm.
knew it might be coming. And one of the first things I did, believe it or not, was do a couple speaking engagements at the Troy Public Library. And
Great.
people showed up and I got work out of that because
So
people that are
let's
interested. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go into that a little bit because I did the same thing, and I feel like sometimes when I hear patterns of things that we all did,
Mhm.
and it's actually very strategic to do that. So I'm going to ask on behalf of our audience who's maybe wondering, did you get paid for doing those? And what were the topics? And maybe also how did you get into the library?
Well, we had already gotten into the library through customer service.
Okay.
Most of the time, libraries have people who manage their programs. And
Mhm.
no, I didn't get paid.
Nope.
It
Mhm.
was a new business venture. I was very comfortable using it as a promotional tool and not having to pay for it was good.
Yep.
And I actually, it kind of forced me to look at what I knew that I could teach and go out there and say, not only I can tell you what to do, but I can't tell you how to do it. So I would tell them what to do, and then they would ask me how to do it. And I said, well, that's what I do. Can I help you? And it did give me the opportunity to promote myself a little bit more outside of just here I am, here's what I'm doing. I could say I'm speaking at the library,
Yep.
and that got me a couple of gigs. And it's good for it's good for you personally to do it, and it's also
For your
good to
confidence.
promote for
Yeah,
your
for your confidence,
confidence.
right? So because you get
Yep.
up, I mean, you're now like without the corporate safety net underneath you. And I
Yep.
remember being those days too. Like you start to doubt yourself. Am I as good as I thought I was? Am I, do I know these things? Am I not? And then you get in front of a group of people and they're raising their hand and they're asking
Yeah.
questions and it's like you're playing tennis. You're firing back. You're answering the
Yep.
questions. You're helping in them and they're appreciative. So I think
Yeah.
it helps because you do take a hit to your confidence when you are asked to
Mhm.
leave an organization not by choice, and then you're
Yep.
out on your own and you're like, "Can I do this? Can I not?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And so not only does it do that, I mean, it gives you the confidence, but it just forces you to decide who you are and what you're
Yeah.
doing in order to promote something like that. And I also looked at it as a service.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I also use to circumvent the blahs or the, entrepreneurial blues, which inevitably happen,
Yeah.
is to do service for someone else. Do something free for a nonprofit. It feeds your soul, and I think it creates energy that, energy has to go somewhere. When you give energy out, you get something back. Yes, I'm a
Mhm.
woo-woo person. I believe in energy. And when you're in a service mindset, it changes how people think about you. And you will meet people who will come back and say, hey, I know somebody who needs your service. And you'll get
Yep.
referrals from that. So sounds
Yeah.
self-serving, but it's a little bit of both, right?
Totally. And you and I are like we're vibing right now. And I mean, like if people are watching, they're like, "That's what Brenda does." Yes, that's what I totally do. I'm a big believer that we should always be paying it forward and helping other people.
Yeah.
And I'm not we're self-employed. We have to have money coming in. We can't spend all of our time
Yeah.
giving away our time because, I would joke with people and I say, well, eventually I have to make money. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go find a job and then I won't be able to do this free stuff anymore. So you have
Yeah.
to know when to say when. But I think like it does build a little bit of that social media karma. You're paying it forward. You're helping others in society who can benefit from your work.
Yep.
Sometimes, like speaking for free at the library, it could lead to paid clients. Other times, you're just helping other people out, and that's okay. And I think probably for
Mhm.
you, you went in thinking, "I'm just doing this for the experience and the exposure," really not having any intention, a hope to get
Right.
business, probably, but not like, "I'm only doing this to get business." Is that fair to say?
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't really think in the kind of business I did that I would get anything out of it besides help some small business owners and help solidify what I was capable of. So that was part of it is solidifying my own internal dialogue, about what I did. So,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
very good. So I know you said you had some other tips that you had jotted down. Did we get through your list? I want to make sure we got through yours before. I have some other questions for you, but and then
Yeah.
we'll go to audience Q&A a little bit. But is there anything else you wanted to share with us, Lori Joe?
Well, I want to acknowledge, I did a program through the US Small Business Association.
Okay.
And what I discovered is a lot of us think, well, I just started this business. I don't really know what I'm doing. Well, guess what? Nobody really knows what they're doing. Everybody's making it up as they go along. So don't be afraid to do that. I was in
Yeah.
the USSBA Thrive program, and there were entrepreneurs that were a lot bigger than we were. We just barely got over the threshold to get into the program.
Yeah.
And what I found out was companies that were 10 times bigger than ours, their CEOs worried about the exact same things I am.
That crazy?
They're learning the same things. There's things that I don't know that they know, and things that I know that even somebody with a company 10 times bigger than mine doesn't know. So
Hmm.
don't be intimidated. Also, the other thing is don't be intimidated to ask for help, because a lot of people, I have a couple people, John Reed is one of them. I don't know if you know John. He's local in Metro Detroit. He's an attorney, has a law firm that does marketing for attorneys. And every once in a while, I just call him and say, John, because he's like 5 years ahead of me. Did you ever do this? And he'll go, sure. And he'll tell me all the stories about how he did it, why he did it, and just give me good advice. So if you're an entrepreneur just getting started, other entrepreneurs will be available and willing to help you. It's this kind of a little family thing, don't you think, Brenda? Have you found that to be true?
I'm trying to tag John Reed right now. Is it R
Oh,
E
okay.
E D or R?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
How's his last name? REED? I'm gonna try to give him a
yeah.
shout out in here. Big thinker, consultant, coach, content creator, podcaster. Does that sound like the right John Reed?
That's him. That's John
Okay,
Reed.
I'm gonna tag
Yep.
him in here. So your
Oh yeah, he's
question, I'm
amazing.
sorry, I was half listening. Could you ask that question again? I'll be honest, I always
Well,
tell people when I make mistakes on these shows, I'm like, I was kind of half listening, Lori J.
yeah, his agency is called Rain BDM. And
Okay.
he's just one of those people that I found I could call and ask him questions. And to me, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like that. If you're
Yeah.
behind, if somebody's starting a digital marketing shop and they want to talk to me about how to do it, I'm there
Yeah.
for it. So what I had
Yeah.
asked earlier was, don't you feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are like that, that it's kind of a community and people like to help each other? I
It's
found that.
almost I think you might have said even this like one big family. I feel like it kind of
Yeah.
is. I feel like,
Yeah.
in some aspects you're like a sister to me. Like we've
Yeah.
been through things together, we've seen things, and there's people in my network that I will reach out to and say I have a question about X topic which you're an expert in, and they'll reach back out
Yeah.
to me and they'll say I have a question about Y topic, something that I'm an expert in. Or
Mhm.
even things like I'm going to go back to the example of the accountability lab. I was talking about that just because I had a great experience, not because Jan asked me to promote it or I'm not an affiliate or anything. It was just more I had a great experience with it.
Mhm.
And someone might reach out to you and say, "Hey, I heard you talking about this accountability lab. Can you tell me more about
Mhm.
that?" But yeah, I think going back to one of your earlier points, finding and creating a supportive community. I'm a big believer that if you're going to be successful as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, as a small business, you've got to surround yourself with supporters. So
Yeah.
you get from them, but I think you also need to give. And I think that
Mhm.
reciprocal element is for both of us very similar, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And there are days when somebody gets on the call and they are just having a hard time,
Oh
and
yeah.
everybody
Hmm.
kind of circles around and helps them, and that frees you to, when you're having a hard time, to ask for help. I can say, "Oh god, you
Yeah.
guys, I had a horrible day. Guess what happened?" And they'll level set me, because that kind of a community, they're out there. You can create them. You can create your own masterminds. You can
Yeah.
join existing groups. But I really, really encourage anybody who's considering an entrepreneurial journey, whether willingly or unwillingly, to find that community and become the enthusiastically unemployed people that you should be, that you're capable
It's
of
funny
becoming.
you use that phrase. Right? I used to use the phrase enthusiastically unemployable, um, and people are like, "Wait, you're not working?" And I'm like, "No, enthusiastic unemployable, like, I don't want to work for anyone else because I love working for myself." So then I
Yeah.
renamed it because that was coming up, it was confusing. Unemployable sounds like unemployment, so people were getting
Yeah.
confused, so now I call it enthusiastically self-employed. And they're like, oh, okay, now I
Okay.
get it.
That
Um,
makes sense.
but yeah, I think, if you're going to be successful as self-employed, you definitely have to surround yourself with other people and be open.
Yeah.
But I think a really important point you made too was don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. And, like,
Yeah.
you have to know when you've reached the limit of what you know, and you need somebody else to help to
Yeah.
guide you through that process. Like, for me in the beginning, accounting and finances, I'm like, I don't know how to manage the money for
Mm.
my business. And I had heard so many horror stories about people not making it past the 5-year mark because they couldn't be profitable. So I reached out to a
Mhm.
couple people I knew and I said, like, how did you make it happen? And someone recommended to me this book. It's called Profit First, Mike
Oh,
McAllowitz.
I'm
Do
reading it
you
right now.
are you like and I still to this day use his system. Like in the book, you might think
Yep.
this is crazy, but if you're applying it, you won't, Lori Joe. But in the book, he says basically you use an envelope system for your business checking.
Mhm.
So I found a local bank, PNC, that would allow me to set up multiple accounts. I originally had 7 accounts, and I'm now
Yeah.
using 5 accounts for my business. So basically, money flows into one, and then you split it out into others based on taxes and expenses and profits and it taught
Yep.
me like now I'm looking at what I actually have is only what I have in my owner's comp account. It's not like what I have across my business. So
Right.
um is that, any thoughts on that, I guess, for you?
It's huge. The money part of it is tough for a lot of us. I am
Yeah.
definitely a creative type, and a lot of us have our, like, emotional issues around money. That's me too, where I'm like, "Ooh, I don't wanna deal with that. Ooh, people who have a lot of money are yicky. They're not good people, and and I had to really work through a lot of my money blocks emotionally. And the fact that I
Yeah.
could grow a company, my goal is 1.6 million, that I could grow a
Mhm.
company that big, and I didn't know that I could, and now I know I can because I've gotten the
Yeah.
support around me. I've got a great bookkeeper, I've got a great accountant. I'm reading Profit First because I had a financial coach. And part of it too, the last thing I had on my list, Brenda, was just keep going. When it gets
Mhm.
hard, keep going. It's not always hard. It will be hard, but just keep going. When the money stuff gets hard, just keep going. Get help, and don't give up because it is easy. I think one of the reasons a lot of businesses close is because it's
Mhm.
not easy. It's really hard sometimes. It feels like a lot of, especially once you get employees. I mean,
Yeah.
I got to feed the baby birds. We always say we got to feed the baby birds.
Right?
Every
Yeah,
2 weeks is payroll.
yeah, once they're
So
on the payroll, because I'm more in
yeah,
I have interns that I hire and that help me out, and I've decided I don't wanna go the agency route, so I wanna make sure that my
yeah,
business is manageable with me plus an intern, and maybe I outsource more in the future. But
yeah,
to even, like, to my intern, I'm like, I can't not pay my intern, I gotta, like, save
yeah,
some money to pay her,
yeah,
along the way, but, I love that thought of just keep going. It reminds me a little of
yeah.
was it Finding Nemo or Finding Dory, one of those movies? It
Just keep
reminds me of that one.
swimming.
Yeah.
Just
Just
keep
keep yes,
swimming.
totally.
Yep.
What I'd like to do, Lori Jo, is change gears, and I wanna invite our audience, if you have any comments or questions for Lori Jo, or as we're talking about the topic today, and I'm gonna pull it back up on screen again for all of you. We're talking today about when entrepreneurship feels like your only choice. Maybe you're on this side of it with Lori Jo and I right now. Maybe you are self-employed and you made it over the break waves, so to speak. You're on the other side of that ocean now where you are self-employed. Maybe you're still on the beach and you're wondering, can you make it over? Can you get over to
Yeah.
that side of it? Wherever you're at in the process, if you have any reflections you'd like to share with us, or if you'd like to join in the conversation, please do so. And I do see we had a couple comments coming in on here. And first of all, Eagle, who said, hey, having issues with the event, will there be a recording available? Yes, absolutely. And this actually is live streamed on YouTube. If you want to pop over to YouTube, you can get sometimes if you're having some issues with LinkedIn, you can go over to YouTube and get a better experience. But yes, there'll be a playback afterwards. If you want to message me or just post in the event comments like you just did, I will send you the YouTube stream ins out there. And another comment coming in from Annette. Hey, Annette, how are you doing? Annette says she's found that shifting her business to something that excites me has made promoting my business so much easier. And Lori, Jo, I'm curious for you. Now has it been 7 years for you? 6 years? How long
6
has
y
it been?
6 years in February, yeah. So we made it
6
past
years.
that 5-year mark.
We made
Yeah.
it past, right? So has your business shifted or evolved? Like, what are you doing today? Is it the same as what you were doing in the beginning when you first launched, or is it changed a little over time?
It's pretty much the same as it was, and it's based on the fact that I'm a writer, my husband is a website designer. I am passionately addicted to social media and
Mm,
social media marketing. So we're primarily focused on social media as a company, and I'm very passionate about it. So it makes it, anything that has me talking to a lot of people. I love
yeah,
connecting and communicating with audiences. So that's my passion, and that's kind of where our focus is because of that. But it's evolved in processes and things like that, but not in services.
the
So
core business. And
yeah.
I'm going to share a slightly different perspective. When I first started, I didn't wanna put all my eggs into the LinkedIn basket, and that might seem crazy because I'm known for LinkedIn now, it's what I do, it's what I specialize in, but in the beginning, I was like, "I don't wanna put everything on LinkedIn." So in the beginning, I
Hmm.
was doing social media management, I was doing marketing strategy, and I had LinkedIn as like a specialized offering, and, I was doing that for a while, and I realized social media management, I was pretty much doing the social postings on behalf of my clients, and I got to the point, Lori Jo, where it was like, "Time to make the donuts." Remember that
Hmm.
commercials at Dunkin' Donuts, like, "Time to create the social media postings," and I could do it with my eyes closed, but I wasn't getting
Yeah.
joy from it. So at the
Right.
beginning of 2020, I decided this was, like, pre-pandemic, I'm like, "This is the year for LinkedIn. I'm doing social media management. I'm just gonna double down on LinkedIn." And that was in
Awesome.
January, and then the pandemic was, like, knocking on our door at that point, and things
Ah.
happened. But I did decide to shift a bit of what I was doing for my business into a single
Mhm.
focus on LinkedIn. Now, coming into 2024, I'm still focused on LinkedIn, but I'm also starting to dip my toe back into marketing. So I've launched
Mhm.
a program that's called Marketing with Meller as an extension of my business. But
Love that.
I just am sharing that with you because there's a couple different paths that you can take. One is do what you're doing and keep getting better and better at it and refine your processes like Lori Jo is
Mhm.
doing. And mine was you might start with a menu of services and then change that a bit as time goes on. Anything else
Mhm.
you wanted to add to that, Lori Jo?
No, I think well, I will tell you, I guess I did change my side hustle from customer service to social media marketing before we started the
Okay. Mhm.
company because it just wasn't selling. It just wasn't working, and I felt like we were beating a dead horse. So if you're in a venture, you've created a venture and it's not working, it's
Mhm.
not selling, people are not responding, the first thing you need to do when you find yourself riding a dead horse is dismount. So if it's not working, don't be afraid to move on and do something new that lights you up because sometimes you'll try
Yeah.
something that just doesn't generate any revenue and
Yeah.
you need to know when to stop too. So I
Yeah.
think
That's a really good point. I almost like want to put the comment on the screen, but I'm like riding a dead horse. I'm getting a really weird visual. But I
when you
get the
find
point
yourself
you're
riding a
making.
dead horse.
Right? If you're riding a dead horse, get off of it. I think the point here is you have to know when to say when. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like I'll launch a program and I'm getting a lot of questions and commentary and people reaching out with interest. They're not signing up and paying for it yet. And then
Right.
other times it's like you announce it and you get a bunch of like, I like to call them pity likes, right? Because
Oh,
they're people that are liking, but they're not commenting on it. There's nobody reaching out to you. There's nobody emailing you about it. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
they're pitying me. They're liking it. I mean, they're not pitying me, but they're liking it because they like me, but they're not liking it to indicate they're interested in the program. And
Right.
the challenge sometimes is figuring out when is there viability with a product or a service? When is it worth staying on that horse because it's not dead, he was just tired and he needed some water and a break.
You need to
Um,
rest.
versus when is the horse really dead and you need to, like, go and find
Yeah.
another.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. If you've been doing it for like what I found, and I've seen this in a lot of different types of businesses, is anything really
Yeah,
worth doing takes 2 years. So I'll give you an example from,
yeah, mhm,
somebody that I know out in the business world who was introducing a brand new company from Germany to the US. 2 years. She's
mhm.
getting all kinds of client calls and
Wow,
things now, but she was ready to give it up.
mhm,
When I wrote our customer service book with my partner, It took us 2 years. Anything worth doing well, you really gotta give it enough time, but past that 2-year mark, oof, if it's really not working and it's not paying your bills, you may
Yeah.
wanna just kinda back away slowly. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really good point. Like, thanks for sharing that. So, Calm Clear Media, our friend Christopher Johnson is in the audience watching us on YouTube right now, and he shares that a key he's found is staying curious and leaning into it. And I would probably agree with that. What are your thoughts on that, Lori Joe?
Oh, absolutely, and find things that you're passionate about because, my son is 25 and he just said, "Mom, aren't you gonna get sick of working pretty soon?" And I was like, "Why? What else am I
Yeah.
gonna do? Sit and watch TV?" So, find something you're passionate about and get into it. Dig in and figure out where you can, make a difference and also get paid. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'll leave with this comment. Bill McLean. Hey, Bill, thanks so much for watching today. Bill says, while entrepreneurship may feel like the only choice, not everyone is an entrepreneur. Lori Joe,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, are you talking about my husband? My husband is a web developer and he's absolutely amazing. He's so good. He started an entrepreneurial venture about, I think 13 years before we started this company together. And he wasn't a sales guy and he's an introvert. And yes,
Hmm.
he did get some business. He got business. He kept repeatedly getting business because he kept on going, kept plugging along. But it wasn't until we joined up and I have an extensive sales background, let's add that to it,
Hmm.
and the personality extroversion that us working together was a lot better than him working alone. So you may need to partner up with someone. If entrepreneurship and sales and the extroversion part of it isn't for you, consider partnering with somebody else who loves to do the same thing and, look around and see where you can partner with someone instead of doing it all by yourself. So,
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, it definitely is not for the faint of heart, working for yourself, being self-employed. And some people do need that support. So maybe it's not an entrepreneurial venture, maybe it's a small business or a partnership or whatnot. So I
yeah.
want to be respectful of your time, Lori Joe, and I'm going to start to move us to close. And first thing I want to do is on screen, I've just shared your LinkedIn profile. So for those individuals who are watching or interested in connecting with you, are you open to those connections? And if so, any instructions we should be aware of?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm an 100% open networker on LinkedIn. So just connect with me there. I know Brenda would advise you to leave me a note in the connection to recommend, to let me know who you are so that I can connect with you then and know that you're not going to spam me immediately after I accept.
That would be a
However,
thumbs
that would be a thumbs down. But
down.
feel free to reach out to me. I really do love to connect with people on LinkedIn. I've made so many friends, and am very open to meeting new people and learning new things. So,
That's awesome. And as I'm pulling Lori Joe's profile up on screen, one thing I want to point out to you is that she does have creator mode turned on. And I know that because if I look really closely, I'm going to highlight it on screen. I can see she's got the talks about hashtags on her profile. Now, what that means for the audience that are watching or listening in on the podcast later is if you visit her profile and you want to connect with her, her default button, it's going to be follow instead of connect. So if you do want to connect with her, you can, but you have to click on the more button. And underneath the more
mhm.
button, there'll be an option that will either say personalize, invite, or connect. That's where you get that option to add a note. So you could just say, hey, I saw you on the podcast with Brenda Meller. She'll know where you came from there. And also wanted to show folks your website. And as I'm doing that, Lori Joe, tell us a little bit about if there's someone who's watching or listening and is interested in doing business with you, tell us a bit about those services that you offer.
Well, we like to say we're extremely collaborative. And we know there are a lot of people out there that have ideas that they want to implement on social. They really want to have a great digital marketing presence, but they don't have the manpower to, ideate, create, and execute. So that's who we are. We work directly with leaders. We have some CEO types that we do LinkedIn for. We also have several larger organizations. We have a client in Brussels that promotes the benefits of steel to automotive engineers. So we have a wide range of experiences from nonprofits to automotive related industries. And we like to kind of come in, do the social, do your blog, maintain your website, and send out your monthly e-news or email marketing that you'd like to send to your people. So, but we also do individual pieces and parts. Some people we just do social for, some people we just write articles for. So we have a wide range of clients and we're very enthusiastic. I would tell everybody we're always the most enthusiastic people in the room. So when we work with you, you get 100% of our attention. And we've got some really great writers on our team that are staff. So there's 4 of us. We have room on the client roster. If you're
Mhm.
interested, get a hold of me through LinkedIn or through the contact form on our website. And I would love to tell you more about us. So
That's great. And actually, I just learned a little bit more about the services that you're offering too. And I'm thinking in the top of my head, I've had some clients in the past that have been looking for website design and website management. Now that I know that you do that in conjunction with some of
yeah,
the other marketing and social media services, I'm gonna be sending some referrals your way as well. So that's
awesome.
good to know and good to hear. So Lori Jo, this has
Awesome.
been such a great conversation, and we were talking today about when entrepreneurship feels like your only choice. Do you have any final comments for our audience on the topic before we wrap?
Well, having made the jump, made the leap, and learned so many crazy important lessons, I highly recommend if you're in your 50s and you get let go, become a consultant,
Mhm.
learn how to create your own job because there really, we think there's stability in corporate America. There really isn't. So there's no more stability in corporate America than there is in entrepreneurship. So you might as well do it yourself. So
I
that's
love
my
it. And
advice.
actually, I feel like when you're self-employed too, and you are your own boss, you will always get the best performance reviews. You will never fire yourself. You will never get to a point in your business where you're like, we're going to have to let you go.
Yeah. Coffee's always good.
It's always good. I mean, you have a snowstorm in the middle of the day. You can well, let's make a snowman,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Exactly.
But all kidding aside, I just want to say thank you. It was great hearing a little bit more of your backstory, and the inspiration is so real, and I think needed for many people who might be facing a layoff. And we are here to let you know it is possible to get on the other side, to be enthusiastic, to be self-employed. And I just want to thank you, Lori Joe, for sharing your story and for being with us here today.
Thank you, Brenda. It was a pleasure, always.
Great. And for our audience, I want to thank all of you for watching. And by the way, Lori Joe and I, we do not get performance reviews anymore. It's one of the things I miss the least about corporate, but also we love to hear feedback. And if you enjoyed the discussion, do us a favor. Maybe you could just leave a quick comment before you leave the chat today. Let us know if you found this conversation valuable. Or even better, you could one up that and look at the comment I have on screen. If you enjoyed the discussion,
Yes.
we'd love it if you could share this video. As soon as the video's done playing here on LinkedIn, you'll see a little share button at the bottom. Click on that share and then share it as a LinkedIn post. This is a really great technique if you've not yet posted on LinkedIn this week, this month, or even this year. It's a really great opportunity for you to build some presence and visibility with LinkedIn. So please consider sharing that forward. Tell people something that you learned when you do share that forward. We went a little bit over, so Lori Jo might have had a client appointment she had to pop off on. So I just want to thank all of you for watching. I was just saying, Lori Jo, you might have had a client appointment to pop off on because I was like, oh, have us done by one. And then I realized it's 1:05 here
I don't know
already,
what
but
happened. I think I just had a little hiccup in my technology, so sorry about that.
that's okay. Hey, I always tell people we don't have mistakes, we have learning experiences.
That's right.
Sometimes our tech hiccups, and the good thing is when we are enthusiastically self-employed, we know how to roll with punches and we just go with it,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Just keep on going.
Yeah, keep
Brush it
on
off.
going. Keep on swimming, right?
That's right.
All right, awesome. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, please consider sharing it forward. Tag Lori Joe and I when you do so, and we will comment back and thank you for that. With that said, keep in mind I'm here every Tuesday at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time, and I look forward to seeing you all on LinkedIn. Stay safe and stay healthy, everyone. We'll see you. Take care.
Thank you.